You talked about the idea that it sometimes looks too choreographed. Do you think of Brock Lesnar, is he someone who is more kind of your style because his matches are treated a little bit more like fights?
I wish if I could think of 5 guys I would love to have worked with, he'd be maybe up at the top. One of the guys I would have loved to work with, because I love working with good workers. And my understanding of Brock Lesnar is, I don't know what kind of guy he is. I've had maybe a handful of words with him in my whole life. But my understanding is that Brock Lesnar is a real pro in the ring, and that he's actually really safe and protects the guys he works with. And totally the opposite of Goldberg. Daniel Bryan is a guy I love. I love his work. I wish I could have worked with him. I think my all-time favorite wrestler of the last 20 years since I retired, kind of thing, I think would be CM Punk. I thought he was the closest to me that I can think of, a guy that was an innovator. He thought of new stuff. He had fresh ideas. From what I understand, he was always safe, always a pro in the ring. And, I want to think of my brother Owen when he pile drove Steve Austin and broke his neck, or almost broke his neck at SummerSlam. And if you watch when he did that and Steve is hurt in the middle of the ring, and you see my brother Owen stop and work the crowd and stop and play to the audience, and he does everything but touch Steve. He doesn't touch Steve. He never lays a finger on him. He waits till the referee or Steve signals him that he's going to try, like he's okay, or he can try to do more. But you didn't see Owen, dropping an elbow on him or doing stuff to him, because he knew he was hurt. And, for example, when the Rockers injured that guy years and years ago, there was a guy they did some move on where they drove his head into the mat. I think it was his fault that he drove his head into the mat. The guy they were wrestling, he wasn't experienced enough, which is what happens when you wrestle TV. The guys they find for TV tapings, they're just guys that don't have the experience. And he drove his own head into the mat and broke his neck, and has been in a wheelchair ever since, this guy. But he was lying in the ring with his neck broken. And what do Sean and Marty do? Like, Sean knows, Marty knows. It's like, hey, this guy he's hurt. What do we do? Well, all they cared about was finishing the match. And I think Sean flips him over from his stomach to his back, which you see his neck just rock like that. I don't know if you ever see it, but I think it's on YouTube somewhere. But totally not what he should have done. He should have protected the guy or even stopped the match. I mean, it's a broken neck for crying out loud. And everyone's sort of aware of it. And Sean or Marty jumped off the top rope with their finishing move on the guy after he broke his neck. And it's like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, to me, it's like, it's so important to protect the guy you're working with. And even though he was not experienced, and it was probably his fault that he got hurt, you have to protect the guy. And they didn't do a very good job of it. If anything, you watch what they did, and that's totally what you don't do when somebody gets hurt. And then you watch what Owen did with Steve Austin, and you watch how Owen handled it, and that's exactly what you do when somebody gets hurt.
A lot of wrestlers went through big character gimmick evolutions over the years, like Undertaker, Hogan, Sting. What would Bret Hart have changed about his character if he needed to, if you'd kept wrestling?
God, that's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't have changed much. My theory was always, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I remember even when I went to WCW, it's, do I change my look? Do I go with black and gold now or something? Go into a different color, or I maybe got tassels hanging off my tights, or or Elton John glasses, or something. Who knows? But I was like, nah. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think that works for me. I wouldn't have done too much to change my look. I really. Like, when I watch wrestlers today and I see them wrestling in pants and like non-athletic gear, like I know they got spandex pants that look like jeans and stuff now, but if you ever try to run in your jeans like full blast, you don't see somebody running in the Olympics with blue jean shorts on and stuff like that. It's because you can't really run very good in them. You can't move very good. And when I see wrestlers today wrestling with these costumes that are so not realistic, I scratch my head, because when I look at my outfit, and I know it's dated, but I mean, I got my look basically from Dynamite Kid, with the long tights, I had the singlet, when I got dressed, I put a singlet on first, then I'd pull my long tights on, and then I'd pull them down, and I'd put 2 knee wraps. So I had these Ace bandages, which are these like 6-inch bandages. I would wrap 2 of them around my knees, all the way like an X, all the way around both knees, so that I had lots of cushion on my knees, better than my knee pads. And after that, then you put trunks on after that pull everything. But what I'm saying is, once I got dressed, I was as compact and tight and sort of held together like a football player's uniform. Everything was tight. Like, I could run as fast as I wanted. I could move. I had flexibility. And it protected me when I landed. Like, I think I was the only wrestler that wrestled with the elbow pads, or I seem to be the only one that wrestled with elbow pads. I don't know why no one else does, but I always banged my elbows. In fact, I used to get big bubbles on my elbows that were like as big as golf balls, with swelling, like where water would go in my elbow. And that's why I started wearing elbow pads, because I kept banging them all the time. But I was always dressed for a real fight. Like not that I was fighting for real, but I looked like I could move really good. Like, if some wrestler wanted to tackle me and wrestle me, I was equipped the way I wrestled to handle myself pretty well. I could move really good. It made me agile, made me move faster, and it protected me. I don't know why wrestlers, I mean, I'm not saying they all have to dress like me, but, I just think that they dress today, a lot of guys dress up like characters, and it's all about the character. Well, for me, it was never about the character. Like, it was about the real wrestler, and I always try to be a real wrestler.